Grand Rising Loves, this is the altar spread for the collective today. And so the sacred geometry that showed up for today is Kabbalah. This is the tree of life in ancient Judaism. And so every ancient society actually has a sacred tree, especially those that were closely entrenched or environmentally close to jungles or forests. They have this. And so what this card represents, and you'll see the 10 lights, the 10 archetypes that are in the Kabbalah. But most importantly, it brings the message of evolution, that this is a time of growth and ascension for you. So starting at the very basic of society, right? You're birthed into this kingdom. That's your foundation. And so however you were raised, that usually creates the amnesia, right? That's the veil that everybody talks about. That our ajna, the brow chakra, is what stores all of that data. And that's really the veil. I always tell someone when I'm working with them, if you are operating from that place, if you're thinking before you speak, if decisions have become clouded or chaotic or confusing, you are not your authentic version of you. And that's like the drapes being closed, right? Because you're operating from the database. And that's just like the uber religious saying, what would Jesus do? You're looking to see what the script says. So what would mom do? What would dad do? What would your grandmother do? Or whoever's version of you that you are. And so we tend to invite experiences into our existence that echo that same person. And so it may be a whole chorus of voices or data that you now have in the programming that makes the amnesia even harder to heal. But right now, because of the leveling up, the raising of the vibration, what I'm seeing a lot in my sessions is this battle, this really extreme inner battle happening, because in the deepest knowing, they know there's this self-betrayal every time they go to work or every time they commune with their partner. Like, this relationship, this job, these friends, none of this is mine. None of it's mine. It's all meant to honor this version of me that's this false version of me, created by ego, created by programming, and I'm fucking exhausted. Well, you're exhausted because there's that constant accessing of the script. You have to remember the script. So of course it's exhausting, because if you were your authentic self and completely aligned, there's no need even for the use to access the intellect to make decisions. And so the foundation is usually where the poisoning begins. And so that's usually the place people need to return to heal, right? And so you have these different pathways, the glory, the victory, into the beauty, power, mercy, right? And so when you look at these, with power, we should be able to get into all of these, but it's all the directive, right? It's all about intent. It's all about staying heart-centered. Beauty is not about superficial. It's not about something that has no substance. Beauty has great substance. And it's the poisoning that made us believe that it was anything less. And so coming into full understanding and wisdom can only happen with understanding. And this is why so many of the spiritual teachers now have zero substance, because they're just regurgitating things that they were taught and things that they hear, and it's all rote, and there's no substance to it. And I love the quote by Einstein: if you cannot explain what you know to a child, then you really don't know what you think you know. And I love that, because that's what brings you into the crowning experience of enlightenment, ascension, and transcendence, is that understanding. Also understanding that which you know you could never know. I mean, there's that too. And so believing that you know something, I always use the example of infinite, because the word is used so much that people think they know what it is. Oh yes, it's infinite. I love you infinitely, right? Which I do say a lot, but I have a great understanding of the word. So when I say it, I fucking mean it. But I can feel the lack of substance when other people use it. And it's because they believe they know what it means, right? It's infinite. Oh, so yeah, I know what that means. No, you don't. The very word means beyond measure. It is unfathomable. So if I say I love you infinitely, I love you beyond my own knowing. That's how much I love you. So that's the sacred geometry of today, and it showed upright. So that is a very positive sign. We are headed towards ascension. The collective, that soupy chaos of the collective, is headed towards ascension. That's exciting. Now the Rainmaker showed up. The Rainmaker talks about being a manifester, a co-creator, but it talks about intent, right? Because anciently, rainmakers brought rain because it was for the betterment of everyone. If they brought the rains, then the crops were abundant and everyone could eat. Not a single one would go hungry, and the lands would even be happy. The plants would be happy. The animals would be happy. Everyone needed rain. So the entire macrocosm of this intricate matrix all was able to experience abundance. That's what the Rainmaker brings. And so it tells you to be very aware of your intent when you are creating and co-creating your reality. And I love how the cards are constantly bringing in new ways of speaking the things that I've been speaking for months and months and months, because intent is everything. And being heart-centered is everything, because in our truest form, we are pure vibrational love. And this is a love that transcends emotion, transcends passion. This is a love that is everything, that knows that everything is itself. And so it's all accepting. It admonishes doubt. It destroys fear. It is absent of judgment. That's what we are in our truest form. And so that's my constant path, getting myself past that. Fear is my greatest obstacle. And I am really, really chiseling away at that daily. And so what is your greatest obstacle? Is it just being truthful? Is it the judgment? Is it stuck in old patterns? What is your biggest obstacle? Is surrender your biggest obstacle? And so really feel into that. What is your biggest obstacle? Is it rage? And then make your decisions off of that love. Because when you create from that space, that intent, that pure intent, everyone benefits. But when you create from the space of ego, everyone suffers. Not just the person that you're holding captive to your lies, but every fucking one suffers. We all suffer. And Moldavite showed up. I love Moldavite. I am so my spidey sense is on hyper because of this, because I love Moldavite. And I have some beautiful pieces to share. So this is besan dice, and it used to be much bigger, but my beautiful daughter broke it. And I love her still. Of course I love her. And she has the piece that broke off. And so she carries that. Besan dice has a very unique personality. This is called the hedgehog. They're very spiny, but I can't get it, like, it's so beautiful. And it's very powerful, like I'm vibrating off the charts. And here's another one. So Moldavite is actually more than 14 million years old. And I liked this one because it looked like a heart, so I had to have it. But it's very costly because it's more rare. And it's also copied more than any other stone. So a lot of what you get on the market, especially internet, is fake. It's not real Moldavite, so you have to be really careful. So it's only harvested in one place, and that's through Czechoslovakia. There's a plate that's got that. It was hit by a meteor, and it made this it actually hit water and made this beautiful tektite, shattered, made these beautiful green tektite, and it's super, super powerful. So powerful, in fact, that Moldavite does not need to be carried on person. If you connect with a very specific piece, it's like a honing device. It will connect with you anywhere. So I could be traveling and not have the Moldavite with me, and I can connect with the Moldavite. So here's the power of Moldavite transformation. This transformation is not gentle, like the very long and slow process of a creek carving a canyon. This is very powerful change, like the eruption of a volcano or a tsunami. This is very intense transformation. And what the transformation does is removes any obstacles to the ascension process that you've been too chicken to do up until the point that it shows up for you. So this is removing people, removing jobs, removing relationships, removing behaviors. So if all of a sudden you get fired and your boyfriend leaves you or your girlfriend leaves you, do not be surprised. This is very intense leveling up, very intense transformation, but just know that it's always, always, always for your highest good and path. Always. And as you see, it's a storm card, storm stone, so it actually stimulates all chakras. But Moldavite is a very beautiful heart stone, so very intensely opens the heart. And I'm a Taurus, and with the Synergy 12 stones, because this is included in the Synergy 12, it's for Taurus. So I feel especially connected with Moldavite, and that's true. And I love that. And I like setting them up like this when I make. Looks like the flaming heart, but I'll do it on this card because Ho'oponopono showed up. The immeasurable power of the heart way. And me as a Ho'oponopono practitioner, I love when this card shows up. Could you tell that I really loved it? I tried to make that really understandable just by my voice. But I love when this card shows up because as a practitioner, we are not meant to sell the process. We are not meant to recruit practitioners or encourage. We are meant to do the work. The work, the constant work to return to zero. And I do. I'm constantly cleaning, because anything that shows up in your reality, it is the process of saying, I'm responsible for this. So anything that shows up, I've created. And so there's nothing good or bad, it just is. And I need to erase the data around this so it stops showing up. And that's what Ho'oponopono is. It's correcting all of the data back to zero so that it's clear and we can return to that perfect state of dignity and love. So if you think about dignity, what dignity actually means, if you think about a child, a very small child, they are still in that perfect state of dignity. If they spill food when they're first learning to eat, they don't ever for a second believe that they are unworthy or unlovable because of that mistake. That's dignity. And so think about that for yourself. Are you really hard on yourself when you make quote unquote mistakes? And do you tend to label things mistakes a lot? Or that was wrong or right or good or bad or evil? And so really feel into those energies, and that's what the data needs to fix, right? Because judging anything is the programming. Loving everything is pre-programming. Accepting all things is pre-programming. Appreciating all things is pre-programming. Affection for all things is pre-programming. Attentiveness to all things is pre-programming. Wow, that was interesting. Processing some throat stuff. Yes, attentiveness to all things is pre-programming. And so that even brings us to, again, my altar. This is not an inanimate object. Neither the stone, the Moldavite is a living thing, these cards, the fire, these beautiful feathers, the water, this vessel of water, the crystals, the bee pollen, the Tibetan crystals, the vessel that holds it. I have appreciation, affection, and attentiveness to all things. And so when I create from that pure intent. And that does make the world a better place, better than how I found it. And I am very, very sure about speaking that truth. That my intent is pure, that I am in my highest integrity at all times, and that I can be forgiving when those who I share space with are not. So that is the spread for the day. And the practice of Ho'oponopono is taking full responsibility. And it's giving it love first and foremost. I love you. It is showing remorse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's remorse for creating that which has shown up. Please forgive me. That's the repentance. Because I am responsible. Please forgive me. gratitude for the opportunity to heal and clean that which I have taken responsibility for. Thank you.